I thought it was just a silly game. A toddler handed me a plastic ring and asked, "Will you marry me?" I laughed and said yes. But the moment I did, everyone froze. The air turned cold. And then he appeared. A terrifying man with glowing eyes stepped out of the shadows and said, "You just accepted the bond of my bloodline." My heart stopped when he added, "That child is my son, the heir to the great north. And now, you belong to us." I should have known something was wrong the moment the playground went silent. Children don't just stop laughing like that. 1 second, it was normal. Sunlight, chatter, the squeak of swings. The next, every single child froze. Except him, the little boy standing in front of me. Big silver eyes, too sharp, too knowing. "Say it again," he whispered, gripping my finger with surprising strength. "Say yes." A strange chill crept up my spine. I forced a smile. "Yes, I'll marry you." The moment the words left my mouth, the wind howled. Not breezy, violent. The sky dimmed like something had just blocked out the sun. And then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Commanding. Every instinct in my body screamed run, but I couldn't move. A man stepped forward from the shadows beyond the park fence. Tall, broad, dangerous. His presence alone felt like pressure crushing my lungs. His eyes locked onto me, glowing gold. Not human, not even close. "You shouldn't have said yes," he said coldly. My voice barely worked. What? He glanced down at the boy beside me, his expression shifting just slightly. Respect, possession, power. "That child," he said, "is the heir to the great north." My blood ran cold. "And you," his gaze snapped back to mine, "have just bound yourself to him and to me." I should have noticed it sooner. The playground was too quiet. Not silent, just wrong. The swings creaked lazily in the warm afternoon breeze, and a group of children laughed somewhere behind me. Parents sat scattered on benches, half watching, half lost in their phones. It looked normal. It felt normal. But something in my chest tightened anyway, like I'd stepped into a place that didn't quite belong to me. "Miss?" I turned. A little boy stood in front of me, no older than 4, maybe 5, small, neatly dressed, with dark hair that fell softly over his forehead. But it was his eyes that made me pause. Silver. Not gray. Not hazel. Silver. Bright. Sharp. Watching me like he understood something I didn't. "Can I help you?" I asked gently. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his tiny pocket and pulled out a plastic ring, the kind you'd get from a toy machine. Cheap, bright, completely ordinary. Except, the moment he held it up, the air felt heavier. "Will you marry me?" he asked. I blinked. Then I laughed. It was instinctive, harmless, cute. "Oh, that's very serious," I teased, crouching slightly to his level. "Are you sure about that?" Yes. No hesitation, no childish giggle, just certainty. A faint chill crept along my arms. "Well," I hesitated, glancing around. No one seemed to notice us, not the parents, not the other kids. It's like we were standing in a pocket of stillness. He stepped closer and grabbed my hand. His grip was small, but firm. Too firm. "Say it properly," he said quietly. "It has to count." My smile faltered. "What do you mean, say yes?" His silver eyes locked onto mine, and for a second, just a second, I couldn't look away. Something in me stilled, like the world narrowed down to just him, just this moment, just this choice. It's just a game, I told myself, just a kid. So why did it feel like a mistake? I swallowed, forcing a light tone. All right, I guess I can play along. He didn't smile. He waited. The air felt colder. Okay, I said softly, my voice suddenly not as steady as before. Yes, I'll marry you. The second the words left my mouth, everything stopped. The laughter behind me cut off mid-sound. The swings froze mid-motion. Even the wind, gone. My breath hitched. What? A low, violent gust tore through the park. Not natural. Not normal. The trees bent as if something unseen had just arrived. The sky dimmed. Not with clouds, but like the light itself had been swallowed. My heart slammed against my ribs, and slowly I turned, because I wasn't alone anymore. And somehow, deep in my bones, I knew. I had just done something irreversible. The moment I said yes, the world stopped breathing.
Before we continue, welcome to Afro-Korean Love Thrillers, your home for dark romance, forbidden passion, power, betrayal, and unforgettable revenge stories. Quick favor, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And if you love stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it means everything to us. Your support keeps these powerful stories coming. So, go ahead, tap that subscribe button now. Sit back, relax, because this story is only just getting started. Now, let's dive back in.
The wind didn't stop. It circled, low, heavy, suffocating, like something unseen was pressing down on the entire park. My ears rang in the silence, broken only by the slow, deliberate sound of footsteps. Behind me. Each step was measured, controlled, too heavy to belong to anyone who should have been there. My body reacted before my mind did, every instinct screaming at me to run. But I couldn't move. The little boy's hand was still wrapped around my finger, unmoving, unbothered, as if this, whatever this was, had nothing to do with him, as if he'd been expecting it. The footsteps drew closer, closer, until the air itself felt thick, like I was breathing through something solid. I forced myself to turn, and the moment I did, my heart stopped. He stood just beyond the edge of the playground where the sunlight should have touched, but it didn't. The shadows clung to him like they belonged there. Tall, broad, still, not moving, yet somehow commanding everything around him. It wasn't just his presence, it was the weight of it, like standing too close to a storm you couldn't see, but knew would destroy everything when it broke. My gaze lifted slowly, against my will, and then I saw his eyes. Gold. Not soft, not warm. Burning. Ancient. Inhuman. They locked onto mine instantly. Not searching, not questioning. Certain. Like he had already found what he was looking for. A sharp breath caught in my throat. Who? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, his gaze flickered, just briefly, down to the small hand still holding mine. Something unreadable crossed his face. Recognition. Control. Power. Then his eyes snapped back to me. Cold. Unforgiving. You shouldn't have accepted that. The words weren't loud, They didn't need to be. They hit me like a force, sending a chill straight through my chest. I didn't... My voice trembled. It was just a game. No. His tone cut through mine instantly. Final. Absolute. It wasn't. The wind surged again, whipping my hair across my face. But he didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even seem affected. How... My throat tightened. What's happening? He stepped forward. Just one step, and the ground beneath my feet felt like it shifted. My pulse spiked, my body locking in place as his presence closed the distance between us. Up close, it was worse. Stronger. Overwhelming. Like every part of me was being seen, stripped down, exposed, without his expression changing at all. "You said yes," he said, his voice quieter now, but far more dangerous. My stomach dropped. "And that," he continued, his gaze hardening, "is not something you can take back." I didn't... My voice trembled. "It was just a..." My pulse wouldn't slow down. It only got worse the longer he stood there, watching me like that. "You don't understand what he is." The words echoed in my head, heavy and final. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to work. "Then explain it." For a moment, he said nothing. The wind circled again, lower this time, almost waiting. Then his gaze shifted, not to the playground, not to the frozen world around us, but down, to the small hand still wrapped around mine. The change in him was subtle, but unmistakable. The cold edge in his expression didn't disappear, it sharpened. "This," he said slowly, "is not a child you humor." My fingers trembled. The boy didn't react, didn't even blink. If anything, his grip tightened slightly, as if grounding himself in place. "In case it wasn't obvious," the man continued, his voice calm but edged with something dangerous, "that is my son." The words hit harder than they should have. My mind struggled to catch up. "Your son?" I looked between them. The resemblance wasn't obvious, not in features, but in presence, in the way the air seemed to bend around them, in the way silence obeyed. "He is the heir to the great north," the man added. The world tilted. "Heir?" I repeated weakly. "What is that even—" "It means," he cut in, his gaze snapping back to mine, "you didn't just accept a child's game." My stomach dropped. Something ancient stirred in the air again, like the world itself was listening. "You accepted a bond." The word felt wrong, too heavy, too final. "I didn't agree to anything like that," I said quickly, shaking my head. He gave me a toy ring. I thought..." "It doesn't matter what you thought." His voice was quieter now, but somehow more dangerous. "The law does not bend for ignorance." A chill spread through my chest. "What law?" I whispered. For the first time, something like impatience flickered across his face. "An older one than you can comprehend." My breath caught. "No," I shook my head again, more desperately now. "No, that's not possible. You can't just decide something like that. I didn't mean it." "You said it," he said. And that was worse, because I could still feel the words on my tongue. "Yes, I'll marry you." The air seemed to tighten around me. "You accepted his proposal," he continued, each word precise, "and in doing so, you bound yourself to him." My heart slammed against my ribs. "No," I whispered, stepping back slightly, only to feel the boy's grip tighten, anchoring me in place. I looked down at him. He was still calm, still quiet. Too calm, like none of this surprised him, like this had all gone exactly the way he expected. "Say something," I breathed, my voice shaking. "Tell him this is a mistake." The boy slowly lifted his head. Those silver eyes met mine again. Steady, certain, and something else. Satisfaction. A faint, almost invisible smile touched his lips. And in that moment, I understood something that made my blood run cold. This wasn't confusion to him. This wasn't fear. This was intention. That wasn't a game, he said softly. It was a claim. My throat felt dry. Too dry. Like the air itself had turned against me. That wasn't a game, he said. It was a claim. The words echoed in my head, refusing to settle. I stared down at him, really looked this time, at the boy who was supposed to be just that. A boy. Small, fragile, innocent. But there was nothing fragile in the way he held my hand, nothing innocent in the way he looked at me. My voice came out uneven. You don't understand what you're saying. His fingers tightened slightly. Not in fear, in control. Yes, he said calmly, I do. A chill slid down my spine. I shook my head, trying to pull my hand free, but he didn't let go. You're just a child, I insisted, even as doubt crept in. You can't just decide something like this. I didn't just decide, he replied. There was no hesitation in his voice, no childish uncertainty, only quiet certainty. I chose. The word hit differently. I froze. Behind me, I could feel the Alpha King's presence, silent, watching, waiting, but he didn't interrupt, didn't correct him, which somehow made it worse. What do you mean you chose? I asked slowly. The boy tilted his head slightly, studying me as if I were the one who didn't understand. Others came before you, he said. My breath caught. They tried to make me accept them? Something twisted in my chest. Tried? I repeated. He nodded once. Yes. Some smiled, some begged, some pretended to be kind. His silver eyes darkened slightly. None of them were right. The world felt like it shifted again. And you think I am? I whispered. I know you are. The certainty in his voice made my stomach drop. How could you possibly know that? I asked, my voice rising despite myself. You don't even know me. I do. That single answer silenced me, because he didn't sound like he was guessing. He sounded like he was remembering. I've been waiting, he continued, his gaze never leaving mine. Back? The word echoed strangely in my head. What are you talking about? I asked, fear creeping into every syllable. He stepped closer, so close I could feel the unnatural stillness surrounding him. And then, I picked you, he said softly. I waited for you. My heart stuttered. The world around me felt distant, like everything else had been pushed aside for this moment. This impossible, terrifying moment. You don't even know what you're saying, I whispered, but the conviction in my voice was gone, because something inside me didn't fully believe that anymore. The word selection still echoed in my mind, heavy and suffocating. Nothing about this felt real, and yet everything about it felt irreversible. No, I said under my breath, shaking my head as if that alone could undo it. No, there has to be a way out of this. The boy didn't respond. He simply watched me, calm, certain, like he already knew the answer. So I turned to the only one who seemed to understand what was happening. This bond, I said, forcing the words out, you keep talking about it like it's some kind of law. It is. The Alpha King didn't hesitate, didn't soften it. It is not a suggestion. It is not a tradition. It is law. A chill ran through me. What kind of law binds someone without their consent? I demanded, my voice sharper now, fear giving way to frustration. The oldest kind, he replied coldly. The kind that does not require your understanding to exist. My hands clenched. That doesn't make it right. His gaze didn't waver. It makes it absolute. The air felt tighter, harder to breathe. I swallowed, forcing myself to stay grounded. Then explain it to me, all of it. For a moment, he studied me like he was deciding how much I was worth knowing. Then, when an heir of the Great North offers a bond, he said slowly, and it is accepted willingly, it becomes binding. My stomach twisted. Willingly? I snapped. He's a child. He is not just a child. The reminder cut through me again. And you said yes, he continued, his voice quieter now, but no less dangerous. That is all the law requires. I felt something sink deep in my chest. Permanent, unavoidable. What happens if I don't accept it? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. If I walk away right now? For the first time, silence stretched. Not empty, heavy, dangerous. The boy's grip on my hand tightened, and the Alpha King's eyes darkened. You misunderstand, he said, a slow step forward. There is no walking away. My breath hitched. If you attempt to break it, he continued, the consequences will not fall on you alone. A flicker of movement passed through the shadows beyond the park, like something was listening, waiting. Rival packs, he said, his tone turning colder. Enemies who have hunted my bloodline for generations. My pulse spiked. They watch for weakness, for fractures in the law. His gaze sharpened. A broken bond would be seen as both. I shook my head, panic rising fast. That's not my problem. I didn't ask for any of this. It became your problem the moment you accepted him. The words hit harder than anything else. You would not just be rejecting a bond, he went on. You would be tearing open something far older. My chest tightened. And they would come, he added. Not a threat, a certainty. For him, for me, a pause. For you. A cold dread settled deep in my bones. Breaking this bond would ignite a war you cannot survive. The wind howled again, louder this time, like it agreed. I looked down at the boy, then back at the man, at the power, the certainty, the danger that surrounded them both. And slowly, it sank in. This wasn't just about me anymore. This wasn't just about a mistake. Somehow, I had stepped into something vast, ancient, deadly. And somehow, I had just become the center of it. The weight of his words hadn't lifted. If anything, it pressed deeper into me, settling into my chest like something permanent. War. Enemies. A bond that couldn't be broken. I should have been thinking about escape, about how to get out. But instead, I was still standing there, still holding the child's hand, still trapped under his gaze. No, I said, shaking my head again, even though the motion felt weak now. No, this doesn't make sense. I'm not part of this world. I don't belong in any of this. You do now. The Alpha King's voice was quieter this time, closer. My breath caught. I hadn't even realized he moved until he was right in front of me. Too close. Far too close. The air shifted with him, heavy and charged, like the space between us wasn't meant to exist. I took a step back instinctively, but the boy's grip tightened, holding me in place. My pulse spiked. Stay back, I said quickly, my voice sharper now, trying to reclaim some control. Don't come any closer. He didn't stop, didn't hesitate. If anything, his steps slowed. Deliberate, controlled, as if he knew exactly how much space he was taking from me, and how little I could do to stop it. Distance won't change what's already done, he said. His voice was low, not loud, but it wrapped around me, pulling my attention whether I wanted it or not. I didn't choose this, I shot back, lifting my chin despite the fear rising in my chest. You don't get to decide something like this for me. His expression darkened slightly. Not anger, something deeper. You're right, he said. That made me pause, because I hadn't expected agreement. I didn't decide it. Another step closer. Now I could feel it. The heat of him, the presence, the way the air between us seemed to thicken like something unseen was pulling tighter. My son did. My breath faltered, and the law sealed it. His gaze dropped briefly to where the boy's hand still held mine. Then slowly, it lifted back to my face. And you confirmed it. My heart pounded harder. No, I whispered, even though my voice lacked conviction now. No, I didn't know what I was saying. That does not undo it. His hand lifted slightly, just enough to make me tense, but he didn't touch me. Not yet. The restraint somehow made it worse. You are no longer separate from this, he said. The words felt like they settled into my skin, like they were becoming real just by being spoken. I forced myself to hold his gaze, even as my chest tightened. Then what exactly are you saying? A pause, just long enough to make my pulse spike again. Then, you are bound to my bloodline, which means you are bound to me. The words hit differently, not like a threat, not like a warning, like a claim. Something in my chest twisted sharply. No, I said immediately, shaking my head, trying to pull my hand free again. No, that's not how this works. I don't belong to you. I don't belong to anyone. His expression didn't change, but his presence did. Stronger, closer, overwhelming. You already do. The certainty in his voice sent a shiver down my spine. I hated it, hated how steady he sounded, hated how my body reacted, because even as fear curled in my chest, even as my mind screamed to fight it, something else stirred beneath it, something unfamiliar, something dangerous. My breath came unsteady as I held his gaze, and the worst part? My body reacted like it recognized him. The shadows didn't wait. They moved. Not slowly, not cautiously, fast. A blur of darkness tore through the trees, snapping branches like they were nothing. The air split with a low, violent snarl, too deep, too wild to be human. My heart slammed against my ribs. What was that? I didn't get to finish. Something lunged. A massive shape burst from the shadows, fur as dark as night, eyes glowing with a savage, unnatural hunger. Its claws ripped into the ground where I had been standing just a second before. The force of it cracked the earth. I stumbled back with a scream. Run! I tried, but my legs wouldn't move fast enough. Another growl. Closer. Behind me. They weren't circling anymore. They were attacking. They've decided, the Alpha King said quietly. And then everything exploded into motion. The creature lunged again, straight for me. I barely saw it coming. But he did. In one instant, he was beside me. The next, something in him changed. His eyes flared brighter, burning gold, almost blinding. A sharp, violent energy surged through the air as his hand shot out, catching the creature mid-attack. A crack echoed. Not bone. Something worse. His fingers? No. Claws. Glowing faintly, edged with something that didn't belong to this world. The beast howled as it was thrown violently to the side, crashing through a tree. My breath caught. What are you doing? Not now. His voice was colder than anything I'd ever heard. Final. Behind us, more shapes emerged. Not one, not two. Many. Their eyes glowed through the darkness, bodies low, muscles coiled, ready to strike again. They're not stopping, I whispered, panic rising fast. No, he said. A pause. They're not. Another growl cut through the air, closer this time. Too close. The boy's hand tightened around mine again, but this time there was no calm in it, only urgency. "They're faster than before," he said quietly. The Alpha King's gaze sharpened. Decision made. Before I could react, he grabbed me. Hard. A gasp tore from my throat as the world tilted, my feet leaving the ground completely. What are you doing?" I struggled, panic spiking. "Saving your life." The words hit just as another creature lunged, right where I had been standing just a second before. Claws sliced through empty air. If he hadn't moved, I wouldn't have made it. The realization hit too late. "Put me down!" I shouted, heart racing as he pulled me against him, his grip unyielding. "Stay still." The command wasn't loud, but my body froze anyway. Around us, the air shifted again, violent, charged. He moved. Fast. Too fast for my eyes to follow. The world blurred as he shot forward, carrying me with him, wind tearing past my face as the playground disappeared behind us. Branches snapped, ground cracked. The creatures followed. I could hear them, pounding, relentless, closing in. "They're coming!" I gasped. "I know." His voice was calm. Too calm. As if this chaos, this danger, this impossible nightmare was nothing new to him. Something slammed into the ground behind us. Closer, closer. My heart pounded harder. "Where are we going?" I shouted over the wind. He didn't answer immediately, just tightened his hold on me as his speed increased, the world around us turning into nothing but motion and sound. Then, low and certain, "Somewhere they can't reach you." But the way he said it didn't sound like safety. It sounded like a promise. And behind us, the hunt had only just begun. The world didn't slow down. It stopped, then snapped into something else entirely. 1 second, the forest was a blur of motion and sound. The next, a black SUV screeched to a halt in front of us. The door swung open before I could even process it. Inside. I didn't move. I couldn't. My heart was still racing, lungs burning, mind trying and failing to catch up. Behind us, something crashed through the trees. Closer. Now. The command hit like force. Before I could resist, he shoved me forward. I stumbled into the vehicle, barely catching myself against the leather seat as the door slammed shut behind me. The sound was loud. Final. The engine roared to life instantly. The car lurched forward, tires screaming against the ground as we shot out of the forest path and onto an empty road. Fast. Too fast. What is happening? My voice came out sharp, breathless, panic spilling over. I twisted toward the door, grabbing the handle instinctively. I pulled. Nothing. I pulled harder. Still nothing. The lock didn't even click. It didn't move. My pulse spiked. No, open. I yanked again, desperate now. "Let me out." "You won't get far." His voice cut through the chaos. Calm. Controlled. Like none of this affected him at all. I turned sharply. He was sitting beside me now, posture relaxed despite the speed of the vehicle, eyes forward, unreadable. "How is this locked?" I snapped, panic turning into anger. "What did you do?" He didn't look at me. Didn't need to. "Sit down." "I'm not staying here," I shot back, trying the handle again, then the window. Nothing responded. It was like the car itself refused me. "I don't even know you. I don't know any of this. I didn't agree to." "You did." The words were quiet, but they hit harder than anything else. My breath caught. "No." I shook my head quickly, backing away from him as far as the seat allowed. "No, I didn't. I said yes to a child. That's not the same thing." "It is." The finality in his voice made my chest tighten. I looked away from him, straight ahead, and froze. The boy was sitting in the front seat, perfectly still, seatbelt fastened neatly across his small frame, hands resting calmly in his lap, like this was normal, like none of this chaos existed. His silver eyes met mine in the rearview mirror, unshaken, unafraid, watching. "You're not even scared," I whispered, my voice trembling now. He tilted his head slightly. "No." That was it. No hesitation, no explanation, just certainty. Something about that made the fear in my chest twist into something colder, more unsettling. I turned back to the door, trying it again, harder this time, desperate for anything to give. Nothing did. The car sped faster. The world blurred into streaks of light and shadow. "You think you can run from a bond already sealed?" His voice was closer now. Too close. I froze. Slowly, I turned. He was watching me this time. Not cold, not distant. Certain. Like this wasn't a conversation. It was a fact. My fingers tightened against the door handle. My breath came uneven. "This isn't real," I whispered. But even as I said it, the warmth in my wrist pulsed again. Stronger. Alive. And the silence inside the car suddenly felt heavier than the chaos we had just escaped. Because for the first time, the danger didn't feel like it was outside anymore. It felt like it was already inside with me. The car didn't slow down for a long time. Not through the empty roads, not through the winding turns that led deeper into places I didn't recognize. And then, it did. Gradually. Smoothly. Like it had reached somewhere it already knew. I looked up, my breath still uneven, expecting more trees, more darkness. But what I saw instead didn't make sense. A massive gate stood ahead, tall iron bars lined with sharp edges that caught the faint glow of hidden lights. Beyond it, I could see a long stretch of road leading into something far larger. Not a forest. Not exactly. The gates opened before we even stopped. No guards approached. No one asked questions. They just opened, like we were expected. The SUV rolled forward, and the world changed. Lights appeared along the path, soft, golden, spaced perfectly, as if guiding us deeper into something hidden from the outside world. Structures emerged between the trees, sleek and modern, but built with a kind of symmetry that felt intentional, controlled, watched. My chest tightened. "What is this place?" I whispered. No one answered. The car finally came to a stop in front of a massive structure. A mansion, but not like anything I'd ever seen. Dark stone, sharp lines, towering glass windows reflecting the night back at itself. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like territory. The engine cut. Silence followed. For a moment, no one moved. Then the door unlocked. A soft click. Before I could react, the door opened from the outside. A man stood there, tall, dressed in black, his posture straight, his eyes sharp. Not normal, not even close. He didn't look at me. He stepped back immediately and bowed. Not to the Alpha King, to the boy. My breath caught. The child stepped out first, calm, unhurried, like he had done this 1,000 times before, and the moment his feet touched the ground, everything shifted. More figures appeared, from the sides of the mansion, from the shadows near the entrance, all of them the same, alert, powerful, controlled, and one by one, they bowed, low, respectful, silent, not a word spoken. My heart started racing again. This wasn't normal. This wasn't just power. This was hierarchy. I stepped back slowly, unsure of my footing. My gaze darted between them. And then They looked at me. All of them. At once. The shift was instant. Subtle, but impossible to miss. Their expressions didn't change much, but their focus did. Sharp. Curious. Some shocked. A woman near the entrance stiffened slightly, her eyes widening just a fraction. I heard her whisper under her breath, but she didn't finish. Didn't need to, because they all saw it. Something I didn't. The warmth in my wrist pulsed again. Stronger, like it was reacting to this place. Or to them. Or to me. I took a step back instinctively. I don't belong here, I said quickly, my voice tight. This isn't my world. You're wrong. His voice came from behind me. Close. Steady. I turned. He was already watching me. Not cold this time. Not distant. Certain. You belong here more than you realize. The words settled into the air like something permanent, like something already decided, and the way everyone around us stood, watching, waiting, acknowledging, made one thing painfully clear. This wasn't just where they lived. This was where I had just been brought. For a reason. The moment I stepped further in, something felt wrong. Not outside. Inside. A sharp pulse shot through my wrist. I gasped, instinctively grabbing it, fingers pressing against the skin where that strange warmth had been building since the playground. But this time, it wasn't just warmth. It burned. What is this? My voice trembled as I staggered slightly, my vision blurring for a split second. No one moved. They were all watching, waiting, like they had seen this before. The boy didn't look surprised, not even a little. It's starting, he said quietly. Starting? Panic surged through me. What's starting? What did you do to me? Another pulse. Stronger. My breath hitched as something under my skin shifted, like light trying to break through from the inside. I yanked my sleeve up, my hand shaking, and froze. A mark. Faint at first, barely visible. Then, it glowed. Soft, silver, spreading slightly across my skin like it had always been there, just hidden. No, I whispered, my heart pounding harder. No, this isn't possible. The light flared. Pain followed. Not sharp, not tearing, but deep, like something was waking up. My knees buckled. I would have hit the ground, but he caught me. Strong arms steadying me instantly, pulling me upright before I could fall. Easy. His voice was low, controlled, but closer now, focused, watching me, studying me. What's happening to me? I gasped, clutching his sleeve as another wave surged through my body. My chest tightened. My senses shifted. Suddenly, everything felt louder, sharper. I could hear the faint movement of people behind me, the subtle shift of fabric, even the rhythm of their breathing. My head snapped up. The lights around us flickered in my vision. No, not the lights. My eyes. I saw it in the reflection of the glass doors ahead. For a split second, they changed. A flash. A glow. Not fully human. Not anymore. I stumbled back, pulling away from him, my breath coming fast. What is wrong with me? My voice cracked now, fear breaking through fully. Tell me what you did. I didn't do anything. He stepped closer. Slow, measured, but it's done. Another pulse hit. The mark on my wrist flared brighter, the silver glow now unmistakable, alive, reacting to something deeper than I could understand. I shook my head, backing away again. No, this isn't real. I'm human. I've always been. Have you? The question stopped me. Completely. Silence followed. Heavy. Dangerous. My chest rose and fell rapidly, my thoughts scrambling, searching for something, anything that made sense. But nothing did. Not the mark, not the way my body felt, not the way they were all looking at me, like they already knew something I didn't. His gaze didn't leave me, not for a second. And then he spoke. Low. Certain. Now I understand why he chose you. The words landed deeper than they should have, because they didn't sound like a guess. They sounded like confirmation. My fingers tightened slowly over the glowing mark on my wrist, my breathing uneven, my mind racing, as one terrifying thought began to settle in. This wasn't something new. This wasn't something they gave me. This had been inside me all along. Silence didn't last long. It broke, not with noise, but with his voice. You're finally waking up. I turned sharply. The boy was standing closer now. I hadn't seen him move. Not a step, not a sound. Just there, watching me. My pulse spiked again, my fingers still trembling over the glowing mark on my wrist. Stay back, I said quickly, instinct kicking in. Don't come any closer. He tilted his head, studying me. Not like a child would. Not with curiosity. With understanding. You're afraid, he said. Calm, flat, certain. Something about that made the air feel colder. You should be, he added. My breath caught. That's not... I shook my head, stepping back again. That's not something a child says. He didn't react. Didn't even blink. I'm not just a child. The words settled heavily between us. Behind me, I could feel the Alpha King watching, but he didn't interrupt, didn't correct him. That made it worse. What do you mean? I demanded, my voice unsteady now. What is wrong with you people? The boy took a step closer. Slow. Deliberate, and this time I couldn't move. My body refused, like something deeper was holding me in place. His silver eyes locked onto mine, bright, ancient, too knowing. You don't remember, he said quietly. It wasn't a question, it was a statement, a fact. My chest tightened. Remember what? He studied my face for a moment longer, like he was searching for something that wasn't there. Then he spoke again, and everything inside me stilled. You used to run through the northern woods, he said, his voice soft but precise. Barefoot. You always said the ground felt warmer at night. My breath hitched. What? He continued, unfazed by my reaction. That tree near the river... You carved your name into it. You said you didn't want anyone to forget you. A sharp pressure built in my chest. No, I whispered, shaking my head quickly. No, I've never done that. I would remember. Would you? The question cut deep. Clean. Because I couldn't answer it. My thoughts scrambled, searching, reaching for something solid, something familiar. But all I found was emptiness and the faintest flicker of something I couldn't quite grasp. A memory. Almost there, then gone. My breathing became uneven. Stop, I said, my voice breaking now. Just stop talking. He didn't. Of course he didn't. You used to laugh more, he added quietly. That one hit differently. Softer, but heavier, like it carried something real, something lost. My knees weakened slightly. That's not possible, I whispered, my grip tightening over my arm. You don't know me. You've never met me. I have. The certainty in his voice made my stomach drop. I looked at him fully now. Really looked. at the calm in his expression, at the way he stood, still, composed, unmoving, at the way his eyes held mine, not like he was seeing me for the first time, but like he already knew everything. "You were always meant to come back." The words landed like a shockwave. Everything in me went still. No breath, no movement, nothing. Because something about the way he said it didn't sound like belief, didn't sound like hope. It sounded like truth. And somewhere deep inside me, something answered. A faint pull. A quiet recognition. Terrifying. Unwanted. Real. I took a slow step back, my head shaking as panic crept back in, stronger than before. Come back to what? But even as I asked, I had the horrible feeling I wasn't going to like the answer. The question hung in the air. Come back to what? No one answered me. Not immediately. The silence stretched, thick, suffocating, filled with something unspoken. Then, footsteps, fast, urgent. Everyone turned at once. A man rushed forward from the far end of the entrance, his breathing uneven, posture tense. Nothing like the controlled stillness the others had shown. Something was wrong. He didn't even look at me. He went straight to the Alpha King and dropped his head slightly. "They've crossed the outer boundary." My chest tightened. "What?" "They shouldn't have found this place so quickly," another voice muttered from the side, sharp and low. "They were tracking her," someone else said. Her. The word hit me like a blow. Me. My fingers curled instinctively around my wrist, the glowing mark pulsing faintly in response, like it understood, like it had been waiting. "How many?" the Alpha King asked. "More than before," the man replied, lifting his head slightly. "They're not hiding anymore." A ripple of tension moved through the gathered guards, subtle, controlled, but there. Danger. Real. Closing in. My heart started racing again. "You said they couldn't reach here." I turned toward him, panic rising fast. "You said this place was safe." It was. The calm in his voice didn't ease me. If anything, it made it worse, because now it wasn't. A low sound echoed in the distance, faint at first, then louder. A howl. Deep. Haunting. Not just one. Many. My breath caught in my throat. "They're close," someone whispered. The boy didn't move, didn't react. He just stood there, watching the horizon like he already knew what was coming. "They won't stop," he said quietly. The Alpha King's gaze darkened slightly, his posture shifting, not relaxed anymore, but ready, prepared. "Seal the inner grounds," he ordered. Immediately, the guards moved. Fast, efficient, like this wasn't the first time. But something in the air felt different. Heavier. More dangerous. I stepped back unconsciously, my eyes darting between them, my pulse pounding louder with every passing second. "This is because of me," I whispered. No one denied it. That silence said everything. Another howl tore through the air, closer now, too close. And then, a voice. Not loud, not shouted, but it carried, clear, sharp, cutting through everything. From the edge of the grounds, from the darkness beyond the gates. "The Luna has returned." The world stilled. My breath stopped. Every single person around me froze. Not in fear, in recognition. I felt it. That shift again. Stronger this time. Like something had just been confirmed. Something final. Slowly, too slowly, I turned. My voice came out quieter than I expected, but it carried. Clear. Uncertain. "What did you just call me?" No one answered, but they didn't need to, because the way they were all looking at me now wasn't confusion, wasn't curiosity. It was certainty. And outside, the howls grew louder, closer, The enemy wasn't just coming. They were already here.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe. It helps the pack grow stronger with every new member. Turn on notifications so you never miss what happens next. Thank you for staying till the very end. Your loyalty means everything here. We'll see you in the next story. Thank you.